Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me turn my camera on here just a second.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you guys?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. All right, let's get started. We don't have to stop at 11, but I do have a hard stop at 11. So hopefully we can get through everything and let Matt get on here. Morning, Matt. I just told everyone I have a hard stop at 11. So if we're not done, I'm going to throw it to you at that point.
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay. All right, so let's get started. Haley, you want to get us moving? I guess it's pretty clear and clean here. We've got our next meeting set.
Yeah, that was just a reminder to everyone that last week we picked the 29th, 5 to 7, and I sent out a calendar invite. I use Google, so I sent out a Google calendar invite. I know that doesn't always work with people's Outlook. If anyone has suggestions about how to do that better, let me know.
It worked for me. It looks great on my Outlook.
Okay.
I did not get it, Haley.
I might not have included staff. Sorry. I think I might have.
Oopsies. All good.
Consortium members.
Okay, good. All right, that's good. And then next week we'll start talking about agenda. I think we did a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, any questions on that one? We were part of that decision. Let's move into our work group updates. What is new in the last week, if anything? We've got social determinants at the top. So Ray and Jeff, it's all yours.
Good morning. We don't have anything new to report since last week.
Okay, great. I do not see our settlement team. Kelly,
It's running 5 minutes behind, but I can always give the update as well.
All right, well,
let's give Aaron a minute.
We'll punt it into the bottom of the list to see if we have any updates. I see funding and governance aren't here in terms of the co-chairs, but Haley, are there any updates? It's been a pretty quiet week.
Yeah, honestly, no, not really.
Okay, that's fine. Educators, no updates, I presume. All right, Kelly, back to you for settlement. And then if Aaron or Chuck hop on, they can add some color to it.
We have another meeting on Monday. We're going to be hearing just some overview from the educator and hopefully the social determinants work group to kind of see where there's alignment, where things could possibly stand and have conversations about that. Also just taking a look at legislation, where it is, the ones that we're supporting, if anything new's come through, as well as they're going to start addressing the ombudsman person piece of the settlement, with hopes that they can kind of come up with an outline. I believe they decided they want to come up with an outline, an idea of what it could look like to recommend, based off of some of the other conversations that are being had as well.
Okay, great.
So,
I had a conversation actually sorry, I thought I was talking over somebody. Last week I had a meeting with Sarah Croce, who is the CFO of the Milford School District. And she's also working on a doctorate at WilMU regarding, effective funding reform as it pertains to EL student education. I had met her before at some funding forums, and she was attending JFC meetings and reached out to me. I had a really good conversation with her. She's very interested in getting involved with the consortium, and I think probably the settlement committee specifically, because she's interested in those sort of broad-based structural reforms of the funding system, and has some pretty interesting data from her research that she would like to share. So I encouraged her to attend the meeting on Monday. So you may see her there. She may offer comment. And she's also, I think, very interested. I know we're not looking necessarily to grow membership and sort of geographic scope. She definitely understands our geographic scope, but she would love, we know that any recommendations we make in that area have statewide implications. And so if we are open to sort of advisors, liaisons who are outside of our geographic scope, she's extremely interested in that. So I just want to connect her with those co-chairs. So if you guys could help remind me to do that, but hopefully that'll maybe happen sort of organically on Monday.
sounds good. We've worked with her in other work before, so.
Yeah, she's great.
Dawn
Okay.
and I also
Yep.
met yesterday with or presented with the Wilmington Early Care and Education Council at their monthly meeting. And so they also are very interested in our work and supporting our early childhood recommendations.
Oh, excellent. That's great.
Mhm.
And actually that reminds me, I was asked by the Lieutenant Governor to join an advisory committee for the Delaware Office of Early Learning. I don't know if any of you guys are engaged with that. Maybe Dawn is, but that starts next week. So I will be attentive to what's being discussed there, obviously, and bring that back as well.
Senator Lockman, before we move on to the next agenda item, is there a general legislative update?
There is nothing more, I think, than I shared last week. I don't think any of our education bills have had any significant movement or changes in the last week. I think we talked about, oh, yes.
The special education bill was released from House.
Oh, thank you. All right. Sometimes I get lost in my own chamber.
Sorry.
No, that's helpful. So that's good. I hopped on a couple of bills that I couldn't tell you offhand. Actually, there's an educator evaluation bill that Representative Williams is working on, sort of an alternative assessment bill that I will be priming in the Senate. But in terms of the bills that we've discussed previously, and of course that is one of them, no significant movement. I haven't seen the amendment for HB 100, although it was discussed, so I don't have any new updates on that. And there's a lot of conversations, nothing that I can really share yet, but DFAC met on Monday. Matt, you probably know as much as I do on that. Do you want to give us an update on DFAC, what it is and what happened on Monday?
DFAC is the group that tells the state basically how much money it has to spend. And it met on Monday and increased its estimates for how much revenue the state would have for both the current budget year and most significantly for us, the upcoming budget year. And I believe that the increase in the estimate for the upcoming budget year was more than $140 million, which is, if that sounds like a lot, it is. And they had already increased the estimate at their prior meeting. They've already had a meeting since the governor proposed his budget. So I think this is unless I'm wrong, I think this is the second meeting they've had since the governor proposed his budget. So the upshot of it is that, we thought that our recommendations as far as the budget goes were, measured and reasonable even under the old revenue estimates. And now there's $140 million more dollars for them to work with. So, all the more reason why they should do what we suggested.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So is there a streamlined way for us to stay abreast of what's going on when it's going to be discussed in committee or wherever legislation is in the pipeline, so that we can, as some members of the public can join in? I'm just trying to figure out a streamlined way of
Sure.
staying abreast.
I mean, as I think most of sometimes it can be a very quick turnaround, like usually like a week lead time if you're lucky, but I can definitely, as I know that something's coming up in education, I am happy to share that. If I could, I don't know, Haley and Kelly, probably the most streamlined way would be for me to say, such and such is being heard in committee. I will try to be more, well, Kelly, it sounds like you're pretty attentive to the House. I can easily flag things in Senate committee.
Great. Is
maybe
Senate really
Kelly-
meeting on Monday?
Yes, Senate Education is meeting on Monday, but there aren't any bills that are going to be heard. It's just going to be a presentation from some national experts in relation to legislation and development that Senator Sturgeon has on early literacy. So that should be interesting. So I can easily flag Senate hearings for you guys. Kelly, maybe you could help me. I mean, we can ask Namdi as well, but maybe Kelly, you can help me follow House Ed and finance, and I'll follow Senate Ed and finance, and we'll just sort of flag it. And I think that would be very, very appropriate to go out sort of in that newsletter format to sort of legislative alerts. Are people receiving those? Oh, you're not?
What, a newsletter?
Yeah, the Reading
Yeah.
newsletter.
Oh, I thought you asked if we were receiving legislative alerts.
No, I mean, we could, I don't see any reason why, unless Haley tells me there's a good reason why, that we couldn't sort of like do special newsletter updates like legislative alert and tell what's happening if there's something actively happening, which is, likely to be frequently the case in the next 3 months.
That would
I
be
did
very
sign up
helpful.
I signed up for the legislative alerts for Title 14 and Title 16. It's not a perfect system, but it does help. But it would be helpful to know that the bills that we're supporting, if we did have a more systematic way, but that's been helpful in just keeping things on the radar.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I can put the link in the chat for that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great, Haley. So I think that's it. In addition to the very promising DFAC update from this week, it was so good that they canceled the April meeting, and we won't get another update until May. Of course, on the federal level, we have news around the new aid package. It looks like there will be, a pretty massive amount of resources also coming to the state, and we're just waiting for more understanding of what strings are attached to that and how that will be managed and processed. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about what I'm hearing. So I will just leave it at that. Aaron, hi, you're here. We already talked about settlement, but one thing that I did mention to Kelly that I wanted to repeat to you very, very briefly is that I met last week with Sarah Croce, who's the CFO of the Milford School District. She's really great. She is doing some doctoral work on funding reform, particularly for EL students, and she's very interested in the work of the settlement committee. I told her to come on Monday, connect with you guys. She's interested in helping however she can, advising, whatever. She understands our geographic scope, but would like to be part of the conversation. So you may see her at the meeting. And, you know, if you need further help for me to connect, let me know.
Thank you. And we're also thankful for SDG and also for our teacher group to also be presenting. We're looking forward to it with bated breath.
Very excited. All right, cool. And I have a feeling that conflicts with the Coalition for 100 Black Women meeting. I don't know. I will try to be there for some portion of the meeting, but I'm definitely going to the coalition meeting. Okay, so public engagement. Who wants to walk us through this one? Haley?
I can start, yeah, with the first part. I know last week I wasn't there, but I heard that there was some talk about like education resources and maybe some way to better display them on the website or some sort of conversation around that. So I was wondering if anyone wanted to expand on that or talk about how we could do anything better on the website. If people had ideas or like sharing stuff more through email or through social media.
Yeah, and do you mean sort of like affiliated member resources or background material? What do you mean when you say education?
I guess more like, yeah, more background material, stuff that we're producing. Because we have a consortium resources page on the website that has a lot of good stuff that I want to make sure people know about and are using.
Right.
But I was just, yeah,
thing
wondering.
Mind. I mean, I guess I know we had talked about, and again, this is a capacity question, you know, just sort of highlighting things occasionally, maybe on our social media platforms, just to point people that way as much as we can so they know that it's there and they go and explore it. You could do that broadly and just say, we have a ton of great material for you to read to better understand what's going on in education, or you could highlight specific things, maybe every other week or so, just for Facebook page content. So that's one idea I sort of remember us talking about, but if there's any other ideas, feel free to chime in. All right, well, think about it.
Okay,
Right.
thanks.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about the newsletter?
Sure. Pretty much just that the March newsletter was sent out. Thanks to Kelly, Dawn, and Tika for being in our Women's History Month spotlight. That was fun.
You were in there too.
Well, yes, of course.
Thank you, Haley.
Yeah.
Thanks. But yeah, that just the newsletter went out. If people had feedback on any of that, we tried to add some of the, I think we called it community news about other stuff that was going on, but kind of related to us.
I thought that's yeah, I liked seeing the sort of member happenings or sort of ally news. Like we had the blue coat stuff. I thought that looked nice. I think the newsletter's been looking really good.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No problem. Anybody else take a look at it? Have any feedback? Okay.
I liked it. I liked the layout too, and thought it was pretty easy to follow. And I also like the affiliate, what's happening with our community partners as well.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think it's a good, hopefully for folks who have opened it, it'll be a good incentive to keep opening it, because I think that part is exciting and fun. It's I don't think our work is dull in any way, but for folks who don't just like flat updates on research and committees, you know, I think it could keep them opening it to scroll down and see what's going on. So that was a good idea. Okay. Testimonial videos are ongoing. I have not been super keyed into Facebook. I have to admit, in the last couple of weeks, session has been crazy. But are we going to try the thing where we upload it directly to Facebook and see if that? Okay.
Yep, I did that. I did that for the most recent one, and then I went back and edited the posts so they're all instead of linking to YouTube, they're all video, like they'll automatically play on Facebook.
That's awesome. I'll have to go take a look at it. That's great. All right. And I know.
And it really helps if people share them.
Right. Remember, we talked about that last week, everybody. Just try to see if you can find 10 minutes in your day to go to the Reading page and share your favorite video and see what happens. But that'll really help us out. And, you know, we talked about positive signs for the budget. But once everybody realizes that, everyone's going to be asking for that money. And so we really need to be the advocates that we are and be very vocal about what we have been asking for several months, and make sure that we continue to pursue that as doggedly as we can and get more people on board with us. Okay, so I think I am handing the floor over to Simone Philpotts right now. What do you got?
Hi. Good morning, everyone. So I recently defended my dissertation proposal entitled Civic Capacity for Education Funding Reform in Delaware. When I say civic capacity, I'm talking about a community's ability to get diverse participation in active citizens to work together to solve collective problems such as education reform. I'm specifically looking at the education reform groups such as Reading, WEIC, Vision Coalition of Delaware, West, Wilmington Center for Education, Equity, and Policy, that have actively been involved in education funding reform in the past 10 years. I'm reviewing documents such as final reports, minutes, as well as conducting surveys and interviews to draw a conclusion on Delaware's ability to finally pass education funding reform. And the elements of civic capacity that I'm exploring are inclusive community leadership, which look at the diversity of leaders in reform efforts, collaborative institutions, which basically measures a reform's efforts, public-private partnership, diverse and inclusive citizen participation, which looks at the diversity of regular people involved in the movement, and more specifically, shared vision and values, which looks at the differences, if any, between what the leaders of the movement believe are problems and solutions versus what beneficiaries of the policy change believe. My ask is that I'm able to solicit surveys and interview respondents as a research project under that of Reading Consortium, specifically the Funding and Governance Work Group. I've got a yes from IPA, Jerome Lewis. I got a yes from Representative Takocha and Mr. Young, and I'm hoping that I can get buy-in from the consortium as a whole. At the end of my dissertation, I plan to present my findings to the greater group, and it's my hope that my research can inform next steps to take.
That is amazing. I saw a lot of applause and I share it. That sounds good. So when you say you need the consortium's buy-in, what do we think that potentially looks like? I mean, I think I got to sit in on a good chunk of your dissertation proposal defense, and it's excellent. And I'm really excited about that topic. And I think it really, aligns philosophically with, our goals and our MO as a consortium. Not always fully realized, but like the spirit of exactly what we want to be promoting and practicing. So anyway, yeah. So what does that potentially look like to you?
So when I reach out to different organizations, I can say that, I'm a staff of the Reading Consortium. This is a project of the Reading Consortium. When I do reach out to members of the consortium, response rates, and then if so felt, it's my understanding that the members of the consortium are linked to other organizations, so they can send the survey out to their constituents as well.
So Kelly and Haley, what do you think? I mean, would that essentially involve Simone being sort of embedded as a staff liaison with that particular working group, kind of as an engagement function?
I think so. And I mean, Simone's already part
Yeah.
of the group. So I think it's just an extension of work that we would like to do. She's doing that aligns with work we would like to do. So
Yeah. I think that's excellent. I think we should think about making sure that's on the agenda on the 29th.
okay.
Just so that folks know what's going on and you know, as part of the funding and governance update, perhaps. Cool. Does anyone else have any thoughts, questions, or concerns about that? As I said, I think that sounds amazing and very well aligned. So I'm excited for you, and I'm honestly more excited for the rest of us because of what I think that's going to yield. So good job. All right, great. We're doing it. We did it. So, so time for public comment. I think, Catherine, I know you join us sometimes. I don't know if you had any words to offer during our public comment period. If you'd like to, you can just, oh, there you are.
Oh, thanks, but I have nothing to offer. Just appreciate the work that you're doing and trying to see how it aligns with things like the Delaware Racial Justice Coalition and their
Perfect.
work on education.
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us. Okay, so we're done 4 minutes before 11. This is great. And I think we got through everything and more to come. So I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend, and I will be seeing you in various places next week.
Thanks.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.